Okay. Everybody's in their place.
Everybody's in their place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. What's up, y'all? We are here with another bonus episode of Just Throwing It Out There, the podcast. I am Talia, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Queens Melly,
Hey.
Danny,
Hey.
and Sharice.
Hello.
And so, in honor of Black History Month, you all might know we're posting 4 special edition bonus episodes to make sure that we set aside some dedicated time and space to celebrate Black history. So, this year we decided to focus on Black film. And in this particular episode, we're going to be discussing the Amazon Studios film American Skin, which was written and directed by the talented Nate Parker, in my opinion, who always plays, he also plays the lead protagonist role. And this film was picked up for some festivals, it's won some awards, but the movie's set in the present day. And what I found out is this is a fictional town called San Basilio in Los Angeles County, California. And just through the course of the conversation today, just so that you know, we may have some spoilers. Okay. But the film is basically about a U.S. Marine named Lincoln Jefferson. Everybody calls him Lincoln, the film. And his 14-year-old son, Kajani, KJ, was shot and killed by a police officer in front of his father during a traffic stop. And so the remainder of the film, with the exception of a few like flashbacks here and there, the main plot takes place just before and after the grand jury renders a decision whether to file charges against the officer. So while all this is going on, there's also a student filmmaker named Jordan King who has asked Link for permission to to film a documentary about his experience. So today we're going to discuss the film. If you haven't already done so, go check it out on your favorite streaming platform. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Google Play. You can get it on YouTube, iTunes, whatever it is. You do have to purchase or rent it. So, but I think it's worth the $7 to rent or the $13 to buy. So, I encourage you to go check it out. But let's get down to it, ladies. Let's talk about some of the major themes and things that stood out for you in terms of the film. I mean, I know what I saw, but I want to start with like, what was it for you? What did you think? Some of the big ideas, what we should consider. How'd you feel about it, ladies? Sharice, I see you.
I loved it up until the first 40 minutes, and then it just took a turn, a really implausible, ridiculous turn. I thought it brought up a lot of themes and a lot of things, but handled them in maybe a more simplistic way. After, over the summer, we were having all these discussions about the complexity of race and how they're not necessarily individual emotional issues, but more of something that's indicative of a system. Reading the book Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, kind of enlightens you to the fact that we're all a part of this, system. It kind of it was like we were regressing in terms of the things that we learned about race over the summer. And so I thought it just handled it in a very, very simplistic way. And I also thought and I just found myself yelling at the screen that they were very sympathetic to police officers, and they were allowed a voice that really didn't encompass the entire, system. Yes, there are individuals who perpetrate racism, but it's bigger than that. And I don't think the bigger than thatness came through in the movie. Melly, what do you think?
It's funny because I also wrote down in my notes that like at that point, I'm like, well, this just took a turn. Like it's not the turn that I was expecting to see. When I saw them geared up in their bulletproof vests and all their big guns, I'm like, ooh, they about to go shoot a whole bunch of cops. That was my initial thought, right? I was like, they want their justice, they just want to kill some cops. And then they just went and had that trial, and it just threw me off because It's a movie. I get it. It's gonna do movie things, right? You're gonna allow for them to have this trial, but the reality is that this would never happen. Like the minute they're going in there, it's gonna be guns blazing from everyone. It's not it's just gonna be an all-out war. So for me, that was like a whole, like it took a turn, the fact that they took the station hostage. It took a turn that they decided to have the mock trial. Um, I I guess for me it was like, oh, so this is just all along, this is what he wanted. Like, I don't know. It just didn't. I guess it didn't. It's not what I thought was going to happen. We'll say that. It does talk about a lot of the things we have already been seeing. Unfortunately, cops not being held accountable. People, minorities getting shot, Black and brown people getting shot for routine traffic stops. Like it's nothing we haven't seen. Unfortunately, I just thought that it was just not the turn I thought it was going to take. But maybe that's because in my mind, I'm like, oh, get them all. No, but I don't know. Like, that's probably what and it looked like they were going to go get them all. So I just think when it took that turn for me, I was a little surprised by that.
The prisoners were really like the smartest people in the room.
Think about that.
Not to say that, prisoners aren't smart, but like it seemed like they had like the most
voice of reason, like a voice of reason.
The voice of reason. And it was very speechifying. There were a lot of people giving speeches, and then people turned around their verdicts based on a speech. It was just really terrible.
Danny.
So wow.
Wow. A little harsh.
The speeches were harsh.
One thing that stood out, well, a lot of things stood out to me in this movie, but speaking about the prisoners and them speaking, they really had, to me, they had a lot to say on the issues that needed to be said. Mm-hmm. And I get it. No, it would not go down like this in real life. I get it. But I feel like he took that route so that all the things that he wanted to be said could be said. So it was a way to have a way to say those things. I didn't expect him to go in there and have a trial either. Like the way they were dressed going in to take over, that's not what I expected to happen. But I understand why he went that route, because that's when all those voices got to be heard. So I get it. And it's a movie. So I get it. In real life, it wouldn't happen that way. One thing that I would have loved as somebody who does not speak Spanish is to know what the prisoner who was speaking Spanish was saying to that officer, because whatever he said to him got under his skin. And I'm sure he was calling him out on being some type of a sellout or
that's exactly what he was doing
to him. Yes, but I wanted to hear those words because those words hit him hard. Like those words really hit him hard. And I wanted to know what he was saying to him. But you're right. The prisoners had a lot to say that made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, so all the things that you're saying, I think are true. Right. And I think like everybody's point is right, spot on. And I think what the director is trying to do is let us understand that race is so complex in America that it's going to take some type of like ridiculous and imaginative thought processes, right? If anybody listens or watches Sonia Renee Taylor on Instagram, right? I love her IG videos, but one of the things that she said is like, we have to step outside of, we have to imagine the type of world, the type of community that we want to create. And I think what this director is trying to show us is that at the core of that is empathy and conversation. It's not going to happen. And we had all those elements. We had protests, we had the angry nephew, we had all of these things. But unless we can look at our system in a way, like let's get ridiculous. Because we do not know how to fix this. And we need to like take our imaginations all the way far, right? And Danny, to your point about the lack of subtitles, that was intentional. Mm-hmm. How do you think an immigrant feels when they come to this country, trying to make a better life? And to be honest with you, we only harp on the Spanish speaking immigrants who come here who don't necessarily pick up on the language so quickly. There's plenty of other immigrants who come here that we're not hard on them. They could speak in their language, they could do what they want. But the minute somebody hears someone speaking Spanish, it sets them off, right? And so, how do you think those people feel when they come to this country and can't understand a darn word that anybody's saying, right? And you know that it's, to your point, you know that it's emotional, right? You know someone's trying to
You
get
can feel
something
it.
through to you. But I can't imagine going somewhere. You know, we're so privileged in this country because we expect everybody to know and speak English, even to the point where we go to other countries, right, around the world and expect them to cater to us, right, because we speak English and that's like the world language or whatever. So I believe that that was very intentional on the director's part, because just for a minute, right, empathy, right, just for a minute, he wants us to understand how other people feel in certain situations. There's nobody on the jury that looks like me. Funny you should say that, right? You know, just empathetic situations. Yeah. So he's forcing all of those empathetic situations to happen in this ridiculous, I will admit, trial.
And
so yeah,
And the juror, the head of the jury or whatever the jury head was taking her job very seriously.
yes.
I
And
have notes on that.
And I'll say too that so in the middle of exploring all of the race issues, when that female officer spoke up and spoke out against, okay, well, you want to make it about the police versus the people. Well, within the police department, there's a gender issue.
Let me look at that in my notes, because I said the same.
There's a gender issue, and they didn't want to hear her on it. They looked at her like, "Why are you daring to speak out in a negative way about what's
against
happening
the police
within
officer,
this
right?
police community?" But it needed to be said.
Right. And even the captain, right? They're like, well, we have a black captain. This isn't a racist place.
Racist.
I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard of. And
That's
he's
the
just sitting there
I
holding his
have
head.
black friends. I can't be racist. It's the same type of mentality. Like, yeah, I can't be just because he's
And it's even more of a reach than I have black friends, because you don't have a black commanding officer by choice.
Right.
You didn't elect him.
Somebody had to force your hand, right? And so when we talk about this, what we say ridiculous trial and ridiculous situation, I think figuratively, right? You're going to need a gun to your head, something serious, right, to force you to have these conversations, because we keep saying, oh, we need to heal. Oh, we need to have conversations. Oh, we need to do a better job at it, right? And we have all of these, symbolic displays of, equality, right? Don't get me started on the Harriet Tubman $20 bill, but like we want to make all of these symbolic gestures in this country, but we don't want to have the conversation, and we don't want to understand that at the core of the creation of the police department, right, is slavery, is disenfranchisement of people, is oppression, right? That's what it is.
Let's just say they don't even want us to have the symbol of the $20 bill, which all it is a symbol and doesn't fix or change anything. But people are fighting that symbolic nail also.
Yes.
They could keep it. Give us our what did Sonia Renee Taylor say? $7 trillion, whatever it is. Give them my reparations. Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye. But yeah, so fun fact, guys, in my research, I found that American Skin was actually a song that Bruce Springsteen released back in 2001. I didn't realize that. It was American Skin, 41 Shots. That was like to bring awareness to Amadou Diallo's case. And I didn't know that, right? So I'm learning things. And so I don't know. I think I disagree with what Sharice and Nelly have said about it not being a good
Listen.
I don't think it advanced. I don't think it advanced the conversation. I think honestly, I think, and it could be, and it doesn't have to advance the conversation. It just needs to be a reflection of what's happening. But I just thought it was, in execution, it wasn't the best executed. But I think that all the points and the themes and the viewpoints, they're all valid. I really
advance the conversation depending on who sees it. So it doesn't advance it for you. It might not advance it for any of us on here, but if by chance some people see it who have never heard these conversations,
or who have
I don't
never,
know if they'll be the ones watching it or not, but I think it could advance the conversation.
I think anything you put out there could advance the conversation. I just don't think. I don't know. I just it was. We've heard. We've seen all these people. We've heard all these people. There wasn't anything new.
But I think, so I had an opportunity to watch an interview that Nate Parker did with Karen Hunter. Shout out to Karen Hunter. I love everything that she's doing right now.
Mhm.
But and his conversation with Karen Hunter, he said that the intent, like he never intended to provide any solutions with the film. He said, if anything, the
Well,
film
that
makes you walk away with more questions than anything, and more, question marks, and like, how do we do this? He says, so he even thinks, as the director, that the film creates more questions than solutions.
well, that makes a
And
lot of sense you saying that, because
Mhm.
now, knowing that now, I can see how that really is the case, because you don't walk away with an answer.
yeah,
You
No.
The thing is, there is no answer. Is there an easy
no-
answer to walk away
there's
with?
no easy answer. First of all, there's no easy answer, but
And that-
just you do. I mean, I get what you're asking more questions. Like,
Mhm.
you're asking more questions, and I
Yeah.
don't know if we'll ever get to answers. If I'm being honest, I don't know if that's going to happen in this lifetime, but at least if it can move the conversation, even just watching.
But I think I feel like the conversations have been had. Like I feel like, to me it was a reflection of, if you watch the 80s talk show, I
See,
feel like if you watch Donahue and you
It hasn't been
watch,
put into film like this.
yeah,
but I don't think
all
that
he's
they
doing,
like.
like, I feel like these are arguments that people have had, and I think we need to, the advancing of the conversation needs to be about the systems. And I just felt it was very emotionally charged, and that's the thing that we gotta, like, we're not gonna solve it with emotionally charged conversation, because it was really about it's not, you're not, like,
I do take some exception to you saying that it oversimplifies, because I think one thing that I did see in this film is
Mhm.
that I think what Nate Parker tried to do is give as many of the players or the stakeholders in this process a
Mhm.
voice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We had the jurors
but we've heard
there,
it.
we had the civilians, we had the police officers, we had the parents, right? So I think he was trying to give voice, and provide perspectives from as many of the stakeholders as possible.
Mhm.
And I do disagree a bit when you say the conversations have all, but like, if to say like a Donahue, that's not like
I
somebody
feel
sitting
like
on
those
a
arguments I've
someone
seen
sitting
on those
on a
shows.
panel with someone that they've never met before,
Mhm.
from various communities, from displaced areas across the country. To me, I feel like we need, the fact that they were holed up in that precinct in LA County together. These are people who live and work and breathe in the same environment. I feel like what he was saying is that the community, every little community, your little pocket, everywhere you are across the country, you all need to get together and have these conversations. You need to be able to talk with your neighbors, your police officers, your representatives, your family, your friends, about what's going on as it relates to race and class and gun violence and police violence in this country. So that's what I felt he was trying to accomplish. So I don't think that it was, me personally, I don't think that it was necessarily an oversimplification, if that makes sense. I just think that it seemed simple and ridiculous at the same time.
now when you say that, I can see how, when you say everyone did get a voice, which then ties back to why they let the Spanish stay in Spanish, because everyone in the community was heard.
Mhm.
Right,
And
right.
and I feel like even with me not knowing exactly what he said, I would have loved to know exactly what he said. But even with me not knowing, when I gave you what I thought it was, you're telling me that's pretty much what he was saying to him. So it was felt just through the emotion of the
Yeah.
words and the reaction that was received by those words. So
Yeah.
And I also saw like this whole like I like that he addressed, and Melly, you could probably speak to this a little more, but I feel like the like Mexican immigrants are like the black sheep of the Latino community, and I felt that in the way that those two characters were interacting with each other. Did you like, what did you think about that?
I'm gonna be honest. At first, I didn't even think about the whole letting him stay like purposely in Spanish until you brought it up, because then it made sense to me. It's unfortunate because given the previous presidency we had, he also made like Mexicans a target. So I do feel like they unfortunately become like the stereotype Latino community, like they're here to do bad things. And I feel, he even mentioned like, oh, all those tattoos or whatever. Do you know what people see when they look at you? Like, it's just that just because he has all those tattoos, that doesn't mean anything. But again, right, it's just, I feel like that's what people look at, right? And when it's coming from someone at the that's supposed to unite people, and then they're using that to kind of divide people, then other people start thinking the same way, like, well, maybe they are, look at all those tattoos, like, why do and and then you think about the cop, right? I just feel like for him, he's just trying to make his life better. He thinking being a cop, he's gonna provide for his family, but then to him, he looks like a sellout. But I feel like when you become a cop, like your mentality, like I know cops, so I've had conversations with cops just to see their perspective with specifically minority cops, just with everything that has gone on in the past couple years, just to see where their mindset is. And I think that I feel like when you become a cop, to a certain extent, you may lose a little bit of who you are in a sense, because first of all, I didn't even know that a cop was Spanish. He didn't. I didn't until he was there. Like I wouldn't have guessed that he was a Spanish cop. That's just, I couldn't see it. But I feel like when you become a cop, you become a part of this group, and part of you, I think you kind of lose a little bit of yourself to kind of fit in with that group, right? And I think with the training, with the time you spend in the academy, like it's to build a bond, right? And again, you have to be mindful of like where you come from also. It's just I can't imagine, right? I don't even know how to express this properly, but I figure it can't be easy, right? To be a minority cop, to have to see all this going on. And the cops that I've spoken to have been have shared that, with George Floyd and those things, that they killed him. Like there's no, they feel the same way. But it's like 1 minute, like the one friend that I have, he's like, 1 minute we were being praised, the pandemic, and we're on the front line, right? And then the next minute they hate us again. Like it's like it's just a roller coaster of emotions. And I think a lot of it has to do with their training. Even the cop, like even when the cop was like, we're not trained to de-escalate, I'm like, well, damn, then what are you trained to do?
To speak to your point, Melissa, this is why I say it's simplistic, because it's not a bad apple situation. Right. It's not an individualistic situation. It's systemic. And but that's what I just really think, this is my opinion. I'm not forcing an opinion upon anybody or trying to shift mindset or anything, but this is really from my heart. I feel like the constant individualistic scenarios do us a disservice when we don't look at the entire system. You're not going to change hearts and minds. I don't feel like you can appeal to people's moral compass, because we've been pleading with people to change their morality for 400 years. It's not about your individual status in this country. We are all part of this system. Even like watching The Matrix, we're part of something bigger than us, and we have to address it. And I just think, to me, this is not that has nothing to do with anybody else, but to me, like when you put that flame to the fire, and you keep stoking the flames, and people are saying, well, you don't understand my position. I'm out there, I can't de-escalate. Or Black people don't like, the back and forth. It doesn't advance the process. And and that's why I do liken it to a Donahue panel, or I do liken it to a Oprah panel. Remember when she went into that town?
Yep.
And we don't the Black people don't understand, the white people don't get it. Like, it's just not, that's not going to, it's not going to advance the process. And yes, we need to have these conversations, but the conversation needs to be, how do we, what are the benefits? What are the, not benefits, the disadvantages of this system? Obviously, all data speaks to anything multiracial being better for business, being better for the country, being better when you have a larger pool to pick from. It speaks to a stronger nation. And we have to just get rid of, listen, we're human, and some people, we cannot appeal to their moral conscience.
Yeah.
We just have to change the system regardless of how you feel about it. Regardless if you think Black people benefit from affirmative action, regardless, we have to change it. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how you feel about it, right? Like,
any thoughts from you?
I don't know. I'm just listening to all of this, and I hear all of it. It's like, but we need the emotion, but where has it gotten us? And what it really makes me think about, which we didn't get to, that scene where they go to his mother's house. Okay. And they want to convince her that she should get on air and she should convince everybody else that we need to stop this violence. And when it's violence against us, it's okay. But at the same time, they want to call on her to tell these people who are angry, rightfully so, that there's a different way to approach it. Well, we've been approaching it that way.
Yeah.
And now
I love that.
Her. I found myself very upset with her.
I didn't want her to get out there.
I was with her nephew. You better get out of my house.
No, I didn't like that she got out there either.
So Danny, I love that part.
You've been upset. You've done everything, and you're still not getting justice. And now you want me to come on this TV and ask for peace? Where's my peace? Like, I was mad that she even went out there. I think that, and I like that, like, recently, like the things that have been happening now, you haven't had that. You haven't had, you've had the family speak, but they're not speaking about, the peace.
We just want justice. Yeah.
Right. They want justice.
And that's the thing. That's all she should have needed to say, is that she wanted justice. She should not have needed to come out and ask people to stop their protests.
That was great. And that was before the 40 minutes. That was before that part. Like, so no, the first 40 minutes I love, because I thought it dug deeper. It talked about, like you said, the why am I responsible to quell the masses and to get them under control? And in the what's his name from Power? He made that point. He was like, "Hey guys, this is diabolical." Like, I was down with those parts. Like, those parts were amazing.
That's why I was thrown off with the turn of events.
The turn of events.
As soon as you saw the captain come out with his hands behind his back, you're like, "Oh no!"
I was down for that. I was down for that part. It was the trial. It was literally the trial.
Also, when they came to her house, they came in force.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just the captain that came to talk to her. And then they were standing at the door, like they were ready to take somebody down.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
A great first 40 minutes.
So, ladies, this is good. Just really quickly, do you want to be safe or you want to be free?
Free.
Want to be safe or you want to be free? Because that was one of the questions that the cop asked. Sharice wants to be free.
We deserve free at whatever cost. You don't sacrifice safety for
I was
freedom.
gonna say, I want to be free. I mean, if you're safe, but you're not free to live your life,
Are we safe?
are you safe?
It
If
makes
you're
sense.
if you're
That's what
not
they
free,
think they're doing, though. That's what they think they're doing. Melly, you want to be safe or you want to be free?
I'm gonna go with free because it makes sense. If I'm not free, am I safe? Like I don't
Well,
know.
but safe to do
You
what?
can be
Safe to
safe
do what?
safe from crime, right? Safe from you know,
But the thing
burglars.
is, my
You're not
skin
safe
color
from crime.
seems to be a crime for some people, so I'm not safe from crime.
It's an
Danny,
illusion.
Danny, right?
We're put a
So,
pin in that skin comment because I'm glad we're doing
Yeah.
this month because it for me it triggered some things. So Talia, overall, do you recommend this film? Was this a
you
film?
know I recommend it, right? You know I recommend it. I'm going to show this to my students, the college level course that I teach at the high school. We're watching this. This is going to be a conversation piece. So yeah, definitely. Danny, you
Your
recommend?
kids don't have Donahue, so they don't know about those
They
conversations.
don't have Donahue.
They don't remember.
Or Oprah.
Or
Nope.
Oprah.
Oprah. This is true.
Danny, you recommend or not?
I do. I recommend it. Even though the trial was a reach, I still think it can open door for conversation.
Yeah. Sharice?
I recommend the first 40 minutes.
You know what?
If you can
Then
watch
stop.
the first 40
Then
minutes, you're in for a treat. Because it was great the first 40 minutes.
Melly, what say you?
I recommend the film. I did take the turns or whatever, but I still think it's a film worth watching.
Yeah.
40
So,
minutes and 29 seconds to be
Stop
exact.
it.
So, folks, as you can see, we could talk about this for a long time, right? Debates back and forth, but we would love to hear your reactions to the film. So if you do us a favor and down in the comments, right, let us know what you thought about our conversation, but more importantly about the film. And we're going to wrap up today's discussion, though. So thank you, co-host, beautiful queen ladies. Out there, we're asking you, just throwing it out there, before you do it right now, okay? I want you to go and click the thumbs up, okay? Did you do it? I'll wait. Okay, that's done.
Wait time is important.
Now I want you to go and subscribe. I'll wait.
I'll wait.
Can you do that? all
Time
at the
is
same
like I'm at
time?
work.
You can minimize the video and do all of these things at once, right? It's a few inches away. And do us a favor, go ahead and share this with your circle. Go check out the other episodes that we have posted on the channel. We really thank you for tuning in today for another heated debate, conversation, sister friend love, and just throwing it out there to